Jack Morrison walked along the edge of the mining pit, checking the equipment. The red dust of Epsilon Eridani covered his boots. He had worked on this planet for 3 years now. The colony had 200 people, all working to dig up rare metals that Earth needed. The sky above looked strange today. It was darker than usual, even though the sun was still up. Jack frowned and wiped sweat from his face. The temperature gauge on his suit showed it was getting hotter. "Jack, you need to see this." Sarah Johnson's voice came through his radio. She worked in the communications building, listening to messages from Earth and other colonies. Jack turned and started walking back to the main building. "What is it, Sarah?" "I'm picking up some weird signals. They're not from any of our ships." Jack felt his stomach tighten. Unknown signals usually meant trouble. He picked up his pace, boots crunching on the rocky ground. Inside the communications room, Sarah sat at her console. Multiple screens showed different data streams. She pointed at one screen that displayed a pattern Jack had never seen before. "These signals started about 10 minutes ago," Sarah said. "They're getting stronger. Something is coming toward us." The door burst open. Lisa Baker, the colony commander, rushed in. "Sound the alarm. We have incoming ships. They're not human." Jack's heart started beating faster. First contact with aliens. This was what everyone had wondered about since humans started traveling to other stars. But the look on Lisa's face told him this wasn't going to be friendly. The alarm siren filled the colony. People ran from the mining pits and processing plants, heading for the central buildings. Jack looked out the window and saw something that made his blood run cold. 3 ships descended from the dark sky. They looked like giant crystals, their surfaces smooth and shining. Purple light pulsed along their edges. They moved without sound, which made them even more frightening. "Try to contact them," Lisa ordered Sarah. Sarah's fingers flew over her keyboard. "This is Human Colony Echo 4. Please identify yourselves. We are a peaceful mining operation." No response came. The ships continued their descent. "Keep trying," Lisa said. She turned to Jack. "Get everyone to the shelter. Now." Jack ran outside. "Everyone to the underground shelter," he shouted. "Move! Move!" The colonists dropped their tools and ran. Men and women in dirty work suits scrambled toward the reinforced building at the colony center. Children from the small school were already being led there by their teacher. Then the attack began. A beam of purple light shot from the lead ship. It hit the processing plant, and the building simply disappeared. No explosion, no debris. It was just gone. People screamed. Some fell to the ground in shock. Jack pulled them up. "Keep moving. Don't stop." More beams struck. The dormitory vanished. The vehicle garage dissolved into nothing. Each beam erased whatever it touched. The crystal ships landed. Ramps extended from their sides. Jack stopped and stared as the aliens emerged. They were tall, at least 8 feet. Their skin looked like polished black stone. Each had 4 arms that moved independently. Their heads were elongated, with no visible eyes. They carried weapons that glowed with the same purple energy. The aliens moved fast, too fast. They spread out across the colony, their weapons firing. Any human they hit simply ceased to exist. Jack reached the shelter entrance. He helped push people inside. "Hurry, get down the stairs." Lisa appeared beside him. "We can't hold them off. We need to evacuate." "The transport ships are on the other side of the colony," Jack said. "We have to try." A purple beam struck near them. The ground where it hit turned to glass. Jack felt the heat through his suit. Sarah's voice came through the radio, mixed with static. "Earth has been notified. They're sending help." But Jack knew help would arrive too late. The aliens were already at the shelter entrance. Their weapons glowed brighter. The terror had begun. Admiral Robert Chen stood on the bridge of Mars Station. The huge space station orbited the red planet, serving as humanity's main military base outside Earth. He stared at the reports coming in from across human space. 3 more colonies have gone dark, Amy Williams said. She was the station's intelligence officer. Her face looked tired and worried. That makes 7 in total. Chen felt his jaw tighten. 7 colonies. Thousands of people. All gone in just 2 weeks. Show me the pattern, he ordered. Amy brought up a star map on the main screen. Red dots marked the destroyed colonies. They formed a line heading straight toward Earth. They're not random attacks, Amy said. The aliens are moving systematically. They're clearing a path. Captain John Davis entered the bridge. He commanded the battleship Washington, the newest ship in the fleet. Admiral, we finished analyzing the data from Epsilon Eridani. What did you find? Chen asked. Davis shook his head. Nothing good. The colony's final transmission showed energy readings we've never seen before. Their weapons just make matter disappear. Our shields can't stop them. Chen looked at the star map again. The aliens were getting closer to Earth with each attack. Do we know anything about these creatures? Amy pulled up another file. The survivors from the first attack called them Serathi. They're about 8 feet tall, with 4 arms and black skin that looks like stone. They don't communicate. They just attack. How many ships? Chen asked. Each attack uses 3 to 5 vessels, but we think those are just scouts. The main fleet could be much larger. Chen felt a chill run down his spine. If these were just scouts, what would the main force look like? Admiral, a communications officer called out. We're getting a distress signal from New Texas colony. Put it through, Chen ordered. The screen filled with static, then cleared to show a young woman in a colonial uniform. Explosions sounded in the background. This is New Texas colony requesting immediate assistance. We're under attack by unknown aliens. They're destroying everything. Our defenses are useless. Please help. The transmission cut off. The bridge fell silent. Chen turned to Davis. How fast can you get there? 8 hours at maximum speed, Davis replied. But Admiral, by then. I know, Chen said, but we have to try. Take the Washington and the Lincoln. Maybe you can save some people. Davis saluted and left the bridge. Chen knew he was probably sending those ships to their death. But what choice did they have? Sir, Amy said quietly. Earth Command is calling. They want a full report. Chen nodded. He activated the secure channel to Earth. General Patricia Moore appeared on the screen. She ran Earth's planetary defense. Robert, how bad is it? Moore asked. Very bad, Chen replied. We're facing an enemy with technology hundreds of years ahead of ours. They're destroying our colonies one by one, and they're heading for Earth. Moore's face grew pale. How long do we have? At their current speed, maybe 6 weeks. Can we stop them? Chen hesitated. He wanted to lie, to give her hope. But she deserved the truth. With our current weapons. No, we need a miracle. After the call ended, Chen stood alone on the observation deck. He looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, the Exarathi were coming. They moved through space like death itself, leaving only silence behind them. His communicator beeped. Admiral, the Washington has reached New Texas. And the colony is gone, sir. No survivors. But Captain Davis found something. The Exarathi left a message. What kind of message? A star map, sir. It shows their next 12 targets. Earth is the final one. Chen closed his eyes. The Exarathi weren't just attacking randomly. They were sending a message. They wanted humanity to know what was coming. They wanted humanity to feel fear. And it was working. The morning started like any other in Tokyo. People rushed to work. Children went to school, and life continued as normal. Then the sky changed. A shadow fell across the city. People looked up and gasped. A ship the size of a mountain hung in the air. Its crystal surface reflected the morning sun, creating patterns of light that hurt to look at. Within minutes, More ships appeared over every major city: Beijing, New York, London, Moscow. Each ship was massive, blocking out the sun. In Geneva, President Maria Rodriguez sat in the emergency bunker deep underground. Military leaders and scientists filled the room. Everyone watched the screens showing the alien ships. "Madam President," General Lee reported, "we count 37 ships over major population centers. They're not responding to any communication attempts." Rodriguez kept her voice calm. "What about our defenses? All missile systems are ready. Fighter squadrons are in the air, but based on the reports from our colonies." He didn't need to finish. Everyone knew their weapons probably wouldn't work. "How many people have we evacuated?" Rodriguez asked. "About 10% of major city populations. The underground shelters can't hold everyone." A scientist named Dr. Kevin Park raised his hand. "Madam President, I've been studying the energy signatures from these ships. There's something strange about them." "Explain," Rodriguez said. "They're drawing power from somewhere else, not from their ships. It's like they're connected to another dimension." Before anyone could respond, the attacks began. Beams of purple light shot down from the ships. In New York, the Empire State Building vanished. In London, Big Ben disappeared. In Tokyo, the Tokyo Tower was gone in an instant. The military responded immediately. Missiles launched from every available platform. Fighter jets fired everything they had. For a moment, the sky filled with explosions. None of it mattered. The alien ships didn't even seem to notice. Their shields absorbed every impact without effort. In the bunker, Rodriguez watched the destruction on the screens. Cities that had stood for centuries disappeared in minutes. Millions of people vanished with them. "We're getting reports from the ground," an aide said. "The aliens are landing troops." The screen switched to street-level cameras. The Exarathi moved through city streets like nightmares come to life. Their four arms worked independently, firing weapons in multiple directions. Human soldiers fought bravely but died instantly when the purple beams touched them. "Madam President," General Lee said, "we need to consider the nuclear option." Rodriguez closed her eyes. Nuclear weapons on Earth's own cities. It was unthinkable. But what choice did they have? "Do it," she said quietly. The first nuclear missile launched from a submarine in the Atlantic. It climbed toward the ship over New York. Everyone in the bunker held their breath. The missile exploded against the ship's shield. The nuclear fire spread across the crystal surface, then faded. The ship remained untouched. "No effect," someone whispered. Rodriguez stood up. The weight of 7 billion lives pressed on her shoulders. "Open a channel to all remaining broadcast systems. I need to address whoever is still alive." The technicians worked quickly. Soon, Rodriguez faced the camera. Her words would reach any human still able to listen. "People of Earth," she began, "we face the greatest threat in human history. Beings from beyond our world have come to destroy us. Our weapons cannot stop them. Our defenses have failed, but we are not defeated." She paused, choosing her words carefully. "We have faced extinction before. Disease, war, disaster. Each time, we survived. Each time, we grew stronger. This enemy thinks we are weak. They are wrong. To all scientists, all military personnel, all civilians, keep fighting. Look for weaknesses. Try everything. Somewhere in their technology is a flaw. Find it. Exploit it. Save our species." She took a deep breath. "We face extinction, but humanity has always found a way. We will find one now. We must." The transmission ended. In the bunker, silence fell. Outside, the world burned. The ruins of Seattle still smoked when Dr. Kevin Park crawled out from the underground laboratory. He had been working there when the attack began. The building above was gone, but the basement lab remained intact. Park looked at the device in his hands. It was a piece of Exarathi technology, recovered from their first attack on a mining colony. For weeks, he had been trying to understand how it worked. Now, hiding in the ruins, he finally had an answer. "This changes everything," he whispered to himself. 3 days later, Park arrived at Site Zero, a secret military facility buried deep beneath the Rocky Mountains. The journey had been dangerous. Xerathi patrols flew overhead constantly. He traveled at night, hiding during the day. General Frank Miller met him at the entrance. "Dr. Park, we've been expecting you. Your message said you found something important." Park nodded. "I know how their technology works, and I know how to beat them." Inside the facility, Park found himself in a room full of the world's best scientists. Dr. Emma Stone, the weapons expert, sat in the front row. Other familiar faces filled the room. These were the minds that had survived the initial attacks. Park connected his equipment to the main screen. The Xerathi weapons work by manipulating quantum fields. They don't destroy matter. They move it to another dimension. The room fell silent. Dr. Stone leaned forward. "You mean the people and buildings aren't dead? They're somewhere else." "In a way, yes. But that's not the important part." Park brought up a complex diagram. "Their power doesn't come from their ships. It comes from these other dimensions. They open tiny portals and draw energy through them." General Miller frowned. "How does this help us?" Park smiled for the first time in weeks. "Because the connection works both ways. If they can pull energy from other dimensions, we can push something back." Dr. Stone stood up. "You're talking about turning their own power system against them." "Exactly. But we need to build a device that can access their quantum network. Something that can send a feedback pulse through their entire system." The scientists began talking excitedly. Ideas flew across the room. For the first time since the invasion began, hope filled the air. "How long would it take to build this device?" Miller asked. Park looked at the other scientists. "With everyone working together, maybe 2 weeks. But we need resources, rare materials, advanced equipment." "You'll have everything you need," Miller said. He turned to his aide. "Get me the president. Tell her we might have found our miracle." The work began immediately. Scientists who had been rivals now worked side by side. Engineers built components around the clock. The facility buzzed with activity. Dr. Stone led the weapon design team. "We're calling it the Prometheus device," she explained to Park. "Like the myth, stealing fire from the gods." Park watched the device take shape. It looked like a giant crystal, similar to Xerathi technology, but somehow different. Human creativity had taken alien science and transformed it. "The theory is sound," Dr. Stone said one evening. "But we're adding something the Xerathi don't have." "What's that?" Park asked. "Human emotion. Their technology is cold, logical, but humans fight with passion, with anger, with hope. We're building that into the quantum field modulation." Park studied the equations. She was right. The device wouldn't just use Xerathi technology. It would infuse it with human will, the desire to survive, the need to protect, the fury at what had been done to Earth. "Will it work?" Park asked. Stone looked at the nearly complete device. "It has to. We're running out of time. The Xerathi are systematically destroying every human settlement. Soon there won't be anyone left to save." Park nodded. Outside, the world was ending. But in this mountain fortress, humanity was building its last hope, a device that would either save them all or finish what the Xerathi had started. The countdown had begun. Captain Steve Harris stood before his team in the underground hangar. 7 soldiers, the best that remained. They all knew this mission would probably kill them. "The Prometheus device is ready," Harris said. "Our job is simple. Get it aboard a Xerathi command ship and activate it." Lieutenant Karen White checked her rifle. "How do we get past their shields?" "We have one of their scout ships," Harris explained. "The tech team figured out how to fly it. We'll use it to get close, then board the command ship." Sergeant Mike Brown looked at the device sitting on the transport cart. It was the size of a refrigerator, glowing with a soft blue light. Once we activate this thing, what happens? If it works, it'll spread through their entire fleet. Every ship connected to their quantum network will be affected. Harris paused. If it doesn't work, we'll never know. We'll be dead. The team suited up in captured Xerathi armor. It felt strange, wearing the enemy's own protection. But it was their only chance to move through the alien ship undetected. The stolen scout ship sat in the hangar bay. Its crystal surface reflected the overhead lights. Harris had practiced flying it for hours, but the controls still felt alien under his hands. Silent Thunder is ready for launch, the control tower reported. That was their call sign. A name for a ship that shouldn't exist, on a mission that couldn't fail. The team loaded the Prometheus device into the cargo hold. Dr. Park gave them final instructions. The device needs to be connected directly to their power core. Once you activate it, you'll have about 60 seconds before it overloads. 60 seconds to get out? White asked. Park shook his head. There is no getting out. The quantum cascade will consume everything within a mile radius. The team exchanged glances. They had already known this was a one-way trip. Harris took the pilot's seat. The alien controls responded to his touch, and the ship lifted off. They rose through hidden tunnels, emerging into the night sky. Above them, the Xerathi fleet hung like metal clouds. The command ship was easy to spot. It was 3 times larger than the others, sitting at the center of the formation. Stealth systems active, Brown reported. They don't see us. Harris guided the ship higher. The command ship grew larger, its surface covered with weapon ports and sensor arrays. Landing bays dotted its hull like dark mouths. They approached slowly. Harris held his breath as they passed through the shield barrier. No alarms, no attacks. The stolen ship's identification codes worked. Inside the landing bay, dozens of Xerathi moved about their duties. The team waited until the area cleared, then moved out. The Prometheus device floated on an anti-gravity sled behind them. The ship's interior was a maze of crystal corridors. Strange lights pulsed in the walls. The air smelled like ozone and something else. Something wrong. They followed the energy readings deeper into the ship. Twice they had to hide as Xerathi patrols passed. The aliens moved with perfect coordination, like parts of a single organism. Then they found it. A chamber filled with screaming. Hundreds of humans hung suspended in energy fields. Their eyes were open but unseeing. Wires connected them to the ship's systems. They were being used as living batteries, their consciousness trapped in eternal agony. "Dear God," White whispered. Harris felt rage build inside him. These weren't just conquerors. They were torturers. They fed on suffering. "Keep moving," he ordered. But the anger stayed with him. The power core lay ahead, a massive crystal structure that pulsed with purple energy. Xerathi technicians worked at control stations around it. "Take them out," Harris ordered. The team opened fire. The Xerathi fell quickly, not expecting an attack inside their own ship. Alarms began screaming. "Connect the device," Harris shouted. "We're out of time." Brown and White worked frantically, attaching cables from the Prometheus device to the power core. Enemy reinforcements would arrive any second. "It's ready," Brown yelled. Harris looked at his team one last time. "For Earth." He pressed the activation button. The Prometheus device activated with a sound unlike anything in the universe. It wasn't loud. It was deep, like reality itself groaning under pressure. Blue light exploded from the device, racing through the ship's power core. Captain Harris felt the energy wash over him. It should have killed him instantly. Instead, something else happened. The rage he felt seeing those tortured humans merge with the quantum field. His anger became part of the weapon itself. On the bridge of the battleship Vengeance, Admiral Jane Mitchell watched her sensors go wild. "What's happening out there?" Commander Paul Anderson stared at the readings in disbelief. "The Xerathi command ship. Something's wrong with it. Energy levels are spiking beyond anything we've measured." Through the view screen, They watched the massive alien vessel begin to convulse. Purple light flickered and died, replaced by an angry blue glow that spread like infection. But it didn't stop there. The energy jumped to nearby Xerathi ships, spreading through their quantum network. One by one, the alien vessels began to shudder and twist. The feedback isn't just destroying them, Anderson reported, his voice filled with awe. It's changing them. The quantum field is angry. The Xerathi had never known fear. They were the apex predators of the galaxy, feeding on the suffering of lesser species. But now, for the first time in their history, they felt terror. Inside the command ship, Harris watched the transformation. The Xerathi crew members backed away from him, their forearms trembling. They could see something in the blue light. Faces, human faces, all the victims they had tortured and killed. The ship's walls began to change. Crystal became flesh. Flesh became nightmare. The screams of 1 billion murdered souls echoed through the corridors. Harris looked at his hands. They glowed with blue fire, but he felt no pain, only purpose. He wasn't just Steve Harris anymore. He was humanity's vengeance given form. The Xerathi commander stumbled backward as Harris approached. The alien's obsidian skin cracked, revealing something underneath that writhed and screamed. "You fed on our pain," Harris said, his voice carrying harmonics that shouldn't exist. "Now taste your own." Across the fleet, Xerathi ships imploded as their crews experienced the collective agony of their victims. The quantum cascade turned their own technology into a prison of endless torment. Every atrocity they had committed played back in their minds simultaneously. On Earth, people emerged from shelters to witness an impossible sight. The alien ships that had brought death now died themselves, dissolving into particles of light that rained down like falling stars. Dr. Park watched from Site Zero, tears streaming down his face. It worked, but it's done something more. Something we didn't plan. General Miller stood beside him. "What do you mean?" "The device didn't just destroy them. It transformed our people on that ship. Harris and his team. They're not human anymore. They're something else." In space, the last Xerathi ship tried to flee. Its quantum drive screamed as it attempted to open a portal home. But the blue fire followed, racing through hyperspace itself. The ship emerged in the Xerathi home system, carrying humanity's gift with it. The Emperor of 1,000 conquered worlds watched helplessly as his empire's heart began to burn with human rage. Harris materialized on the Emperor's throne ship. He no longer needed a physical form to travel. He was everywhere. The quantum field touched. "You brought hell to our worlds," Harris said, his voice echoing across dimensions. "But you didn't understand us. You thought our weakness was our compassion, our mercy, our love." The Emperor cowered as shadows with human faces emerged from the walls. "You were wrong," Harris continued. "Those weren't weaknesses. They were the chains that held back our true nature. You broke those chains." The blue fire consumed the throne ship. Across the galaxy, the Xerathi Empire died in waves of human fury. Not destroyed. Transformed. Made to experience every moment of suffering they had ever caused. Humanity had won, but victory had changed them forever. The Xerathi fleet at Beta Centauri detected the wave of blue light racing through space. They had time to see their home system burn before the fire reached them. Their commander ordered an immediate retreat. Ships jumped into hyperspace, fleeing in all directions. It didn't matter. The quantum virus followed them through their own network. On the colony world of New Eden, human slaves watched their captors panic. The Xerathi had ruled here for months, using humans for labor and experiments. Now the aliens ran in terror, their black stone skin cracking with blue light. "What's happening to them?" asked Tom Wilson, a former teacher who had survived the occupation. An older woman named Beth Miller pointed to the sky. "Look, their ships are melting." The Xerathi vessels dissolved like ice in summer heat, but instead of water, they became shadows. shadows with human shapes that chased the fleeing aliens across the ground. The scene repeated across 100 worlds. The Exorethi, who had conquered species for thousands of years, found themselves helpless. Their weapons turned to ash. Their shields failed. Their mighty warships became tombs. On the Exorethi core world of Vexus Prime, the Supreme Overlord watched his empire crumble. Reports flooded in from every sector. Fleets annihilated. Armies scattered. Worlds lost. How is this possible? The Overlord demanded. We are the masters of the galaxy. His science advisor trembled. The humans, they turned our quantum network against us. Every Exorethi connected to the hive mind is affected. The only survivors are those who sever their connection. Never. The Overlord roared. A hive mind is our strength. But even as he spoke, blue cracks appeared in the throne room walls. The palace that had stood for 10,000 years began to shake. Captain Harris materialized before the throne. He no longer looked completely human. His form shifted between solid and energy. His eyes burned with blue fire. You asked how this is possible, Harris said. His voice carried the weight of billions of dead humans. Let me show you. The air shimmered. Images appeared. Earth burning. Children crying. Cities vanishing. All the horrors that Exorethi had inflicted on humanity. You thought you were bringing hell, Harris continued. But hell is just a place of punishment. What we bring is worse. What could be worse than hell? The Overlord whispered. Justice, Harris replied. And understanding. The quantum field surged. Suddenly, the Overlord felt everything. Every moment of pain his species had caused. Every life they had taken. Every child who had died afraid. The weight of 1,000 genocides crashed into his mind. The Overlord screamed, not in pain, but in comprehension. For the first time, he understood what they had done, what they had become. Across the Empire, Exorethi commanders made desperate choices. Some tried to fight, launching final attacks on human worlds. The attacks never reached their targets. The weapons turned back on their users. Others begged for mercy. They sent messages promising to surrender, to serve, to change. But humanity's fury had no room for words. A few chose the only escape left. They destroyed their quantum connections, cutting themselves off from the hive mind forever. These survivors fled to the darkest corners of the galaxy, reduced to primitive technology and endless fear. Within days, the Exorethi Empire was gone. Worlds that had been enslaved for generations watched their oppressors vanish like nightmares at dawn. Species that had lived in terror for centuries emerged from hiding to find their tormentors gone. The hunter had become the hunted. The predator had become prey. And the galaxy watched in stunned silence as humanity, the species everyone had dismissed as weak, revealed its true face. In the ruins of the Exorethi throne world, Harris stood among the ashes. The rage was fading now, replaced by something else. Purpose. Humanity had been transformed by this war. They were no longer just another species trying to survive. They had become something the galaxy had never seen before. Protectors, guardians, and to those who would bring suffering to others, they were terror incarnate. 6 months after the Exorethi Empire fell, Ambassador Lisa Chen stood before the Galactic Council. Representatives from dozens of species filled the Great Hall on Neutral Station. Many looked at her with fear. The human delegation recognizes the concerns of this council, Chen began. Her voice was calm but firm. You watched us defeat the Exorethi. You saw what we became. Now you wonder if humanity is a threat. The Altarian representative spoke first. His blue feathers rustled nervously. The Exorethi ruled for 10,000 years. They seemed unstoppable. You destroyed them in days. How can we not fear such power? Chen nodded. Your fear is understandable. But let me tell you what really happened. The Exorethi didn't just attack us. They showed us something about ourselves we had forgotten. She activated the holographic display. Images filled the air. Not of war, but of human history, cave paintings, ancient cities, art and music, families laughing together. Humans spent thousands of years learning to control our darker nature, Chen explained. We built civilization on the idea that mercy is strength, that compassion matters more than conquest. The Exarathi forced us to remember what we become without those restraints. The Vendari ambassador leaned forward. Her crystalline form caught the light. But your Captain Harris, he became something beyond human. Where is he now? Chen smiled sadly. Steve Harris and his team paid the ultimate price. They merged with the quantum field to save us all. They exist now as guardians, watching from dimensions we can barely understand. They ensure that what happened to us never happens to another species. And the other humans? Asked the Korvax delegate. The ones exposed to the quantum energy. They've changed, yes. We call them sentinels. They can sense suffering across vast distances, feel when innocent beings are threatened. They've become an early warning system for the galaxy. The council murmured. Some still looked fearful, but others showed curiosity. Chen continued. We've established the Terran Protectorate, not to rule, but to guard. Any species facing extinction or enslavement can call on us. We'll come. We'll help, because we remember what it feels like to face annihilation alone. The oldest member of the council, a Zelani whose people had suffered under Exarathi rule for centuries, spoke slowly. You ask us to trust you, to believe you're different from the Exarathi. No, Chen said. We ask you to watch us. Judge us by our actions, not our power. The Exarathi took. We give. They destroyed. We protect. They fed on fear. We offer hope. Reports began coming in over the next months. Pirates attacking a mining colony found themselves facing human sentinels who appeared from nowhere. A plague threatening to wipe out the Delvins was cured by human scientists working without payment. Natural disasters on a dozen worlds saw human rescue teams arrive before anyone called for help. The galaxy watched and slowly began to understand. Humanity hadn't just defeated the Exarathi. They had chosen to become what the Exarathi should have been. Protectors instead of predators. On Earth, children learned new lessons. They studied quantum physics alongside ancient philosophy. They trained to be warriors but swore oaths to preserve life. They understood that humanity now carried a terrible responsibility. Dr. Kevin Park, now director of the Terran Defense Institute, often looked at the stars. We unleashed something that day, he told his students. Not just a weapon, but a promise. Never again will the innocent suffer while we have the power to help. In the deep void between galaxies, entities that had once been human maintained their eternal watch. Steve Harris and his team existed now as pure will, guardians at the gates of reality. They had brought hell to those who deserved it. Now they stood ready to unleash terror on any who would harm the innocent. The message echoed across the cosmos. The Exarathi had awakened humanity's true nature. They had brought hell to Earth. But in doing so, they had unleashed something far more terrible than any demon. They had unleashed justice, and the universe would never be the same.